He's an 8-time Louisiana Association of Broadcasters Award winner. And he snapped a ball through his legs.
Wait, why does your name get to go first?
Shut up.
This is Scone T.
Because they made us.
I mean, Musso was hitting the gritty in the middle of the dance floor at the bar. There's video proof.
Yes, I have my spies
are we on?
out there.
Are we on?
In the
Oh.
ether.
Oh.
Yes, he was.
We're on.
And the craziest part about it is it was a clean gritty. It was actually a good gritty, dude, as Musso takes a bow off camera. Like, I was shocked. I thought we would have been in for Hunt Palmer levels of gritty, but it's actually much better when I have tried, like an old man in secret in my house, to try to gritty after watching a Thursday Night Football special. It has not gone well. And I think I can dance, too. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm just getting old, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
Jesus year, rolling right along, though, baby. I love my Jesus year. I'm going to be fucking bummed when I turn 34, dude.
All right, welcome to Scone and T. We are live at Don Juan Cigar. No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. We are at Oliver Twist. We do way too many shows together.
The days are blending together.
We are at Olive or Twist, right here off of Perkins Road in Baton Rouge. We're live every Wednesday on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube and the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Facebook page. Thank you for joining us live, or if you're watching or listening on demand, we appreciate it. If you're on your favorite podcast app, please subscribe up. Rate us, leave a review. We appreciate that greatly. And if you're watching live or on demand, please smash that like button. Smash that like button on YouTube, and like the page, share the post there on Facebook. What are you drinking there?
This is literally called the Basic Bitch cocktail, and I don't know everything.
The Basic Bitch.
I don't know everything that's in it.
That is so fitting.
In keeping with fall basics, it's got pumpkin in it.
Do you like pumpkin?
Yeah, I'm pretty like pumpkin ambivalent.
You were drinking pumpkin spiced vodka.
Okay.
Rum shatta, condensed milk, pumpkin pie filling.
Ooh. I mean,
that sounds like dessert.
I'm not going to lie, none of that sounds particularly great to me.
Oh, dude, it sounds like dessert.
Exactly. But that's why I love it here, because I try new, different premium craft cocktails every single week.
I just took a sip of his cocktail, by the way.
Sip of my cocktail? Yep.
Boy, it is filling. That is a very thick. Feel like you're not drinking more than one of those.
No. We've already played
that is like a dessert cocktail. Is what that is. Very good. That is a dessert cocktail.
Now this would be great. Wow, look at me. My basic bitch already came out. I'm flipping my wrist.
Yes, you did.
But in keeping with basic tendencies, this would be excellent post a giant Thanksgiving meal on a cold night.
Yes, great point.
Christmas Eve, some sort of Christmas celebration, the end of a long night in front of a fire or something. Ooh, it'd be delicious.
Do you know what I've realized here? Is that this whole conversation about your pumpkins, whatever that is just delaying us from talking about the Tennessee game, which I really don't even want to do. I feel like we talked about it. We put it to bed. It's one of those burn the tape type games.
Yeah, that was why I didn't watch again. Burn the tape. I burned it.
I mean, it's really one of those things, and maybe this will be the last thing I say on it, because I do want to talk a lot about Florida and the slate ahead in the SEC and get to your questions. But if I have one big takeaway from that game, it's LSU is, as we've all said, not a very good football team.
Yeah.
Not an elite team. And when you're not elite, you can't make a lot of mistakes against a really good team and have any chance of winning. And actually what happens, if you make a lot of mistakes against a really good team, you're going to get your ass beat. And that's what happened. People ask, Mississippi State looks better. How was LSU able to play so good against State? Well, I think styles make fights, and that was a good matchup stylistically for LSU's defense against that Mississippi State offense. Tennessee was not a good matchup for LSU, and when you spotted them 10 points and then you had to play catch-up and throw it 45 times, that's not what's going to benefit LSU. So that's basically what it is. Now you turn the page to a team in Florida that's not very good. Kind of like they're in a similar boat as you are. Yeah. So this is an inherently more winnable game than last week.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, look, I talked about it on Saturday, and I have not wavered in this belief despite any counter-argument that anyone can offer I understand that there were 60 more minutes to play after the first 30 seconds of that game. But after the first 30 seconds of that game, it was done. It was pretty much written, and that was just an unreal, deflating sort of experience. But to your point, although there is shame in getting the doors blown off you in the manner in which you did, there is no shame in losing to a Tennessee team that is much better than you this season. Like you said, you and Florida are very similar in a lot of ways. I think that probably relative to expectation, I think that Florida's performed better and had a better season. Even though LSU probably has the best win. As Mississippi
Oh, you think Florida's win over Utah?
Yeah,
you think LSU beating State is better than Florida?
Yeah, because what State's
Utah?
going on to do. And just because the UCLA game last week, and they might lose again this week in the USC. I mean, if Utah drops 2 in a row, that does take a little wind out of Florida's sails there.
I think Utah will end up with a better record than Mississippi State.
Okay, well, yeah, well, we will see. I think Mississippi State's really good.
I think Mississippi State beat the shit out of Arkansas last week because KJ Jefferson wasn't there. If Jefferson's there, it is just a fundamentally different football game. I mean, Arkansas started their backup. They pulled him after 6 passes because he sucks so bad. It's like
it doesn't matter though. Mississippi State's Will Rogers is a beast. See their schedule.
You took the best player off of their team, who happens to be the guy that touches the ball every play. Anyway, I mean, it's neither here nor there, but I think we're making way too much out of the Mississippi State win over Arkansas.
It's not just Arkansas, though. It's the A&M wins. It's the Memphis and Arizona.
A&M's not good.
Wants to start the
Arizona's
season.
not good.
Yeah, I know. But
Memphis
I mean, look.
is in the American.
Kentucky, certainly. They're going to have a chance to get another big one this weekend. Probably lose to Alabama.
See.
They should beat Auburn.
We'll see what happens with Will Levis.
Lose to Georgia, so that's going to be 3 losses. No, I mean, yeah, okay. Utah and
they'll lose to Ole Miss.
Look, Utah and Mississippi State will both be floating around 3 to 4 losses at the end of the year.
Oh,
Probably
I think
4 losses.
State's going to be either 4 or 5 losses. I think they might be 7 and 5.
I could see it. I would give them the benefit of the doubt at 8 and 4. I think they'll go 8 and 4.
Maybe.
Either way, this is such a stupid fucking side path for you to drag me down. The whole point is that I do think that you both have a nice win, but overall against Power 5 opponents for LSU, it's been very shitty. Like the Mississippi State win was awesome. You really put it all together and put out a dominant performance. But in every other Power 5 game, you have way underperformed in relation to expectation. The Florida State game, you were good for 1 quarter. You weren't really good at all during Auburn. I mean, I guess that's not true, right? The defense did end up shutting them down and whatnot.
Shut them out in the second half.
And then
you allowed a busted play touchdown. 2 busted play touchdowns. Well, 1 touchdown and 1 was the jar
but 82 yards offensively rules the fucking state.
No, I get, no, but I'm just saying.
Like, what are you talking about?
I'm just saying defensively.
Okay, well,
like
and then the next week you get touched up for 40 plus and 500 yards and 250 rushing and 250 passing. Like,
I think the defense was good against Auburn.
Against Power 5 teams.
Defense
was even good against Florida State for the last 3 quarters. The team has sucked against Power 5 teams. That's all I'm saying.
I was talking about the defense.
Okay, well, that's whatever. The point is, looking at the overall teams and how their seasons are going, I just feel that even though they're in very similar spots, contextually, Florida feels a little bit better. And then in your one common opponent, obviously, Florida handled that test immensely better in Knoxville than you did at home in your own stadium. Even if that is, I do think this is one of those, you see this in college football every now and then where, and to me the ultimate example will always be Cam Newton's Auburn, where early season they're in some dogfights with some teams that weren't actually that good. Like I think like Mississippi State and Kentucky,
yeah.
But then they continued to grow in confidence and power and really knowing themselves. And all of a sudden, you saw them become this behemoth. Tennessee.
The Mississippi State game was like 12-10. Wasn't
it was crazy, dude.
Hang on, I'm going to look it up.
Tennessee is going through
17-14.
There you go. Tennessee is going through a similar rhythm right now, and their chances this weekend, right? If you want to prove your evolution, prove your ascent, you win against Alabama and Knoxville. You break the streak. I mean, hell, Matt, I said it this morning, but somebody tweeted this and it had me dying. My parents were together the last time Tennessee beat Alabama. We talked about, like, I don't think iPhones existed the last time Tennessee beat Alabama. Like, you can go, it's pretty wild just how long it's been. So for Tennessee, they're on the rise. But Florida played them better than you did. And quite frankly, even with the larger amount of mistakes that Anthony Richardson has made this year in comparison with someone like Jaden Daniels, the highs have maybe been more impressive where you've been like, oh, wow, this guy is going to be a problem. I don't know that anybody has looked at Jaden Daniels in this LSU offense and said, oh, wow, this guy is going to be a problem.
It's the turnovers for Richardson, which is the neutralizer. He's a more dynamic player than Jade Daniels, but he turns the ball over a lot.
Yes.
So we'll get into LSU-Florida here in just a second. By the way, tonight's break-even bottle is Jefferson's Ocean. Do you want to read about it? Do you want to read about Jefferson's Ocean?
Yes. This is Jefferson Ocean. It's aged at sea. Oh, here we go.
So
Voyage 28, ship's log. It was 6 a.m. when Ocean Voyage 28 headed out into the restless seas of the Atlantic. The agitated ocean was steely gray, and the red sky was ominous, looking in front of a tropical depression moving north out of the Bahamas. Heat and humidity continued to build as we made our way south, and the clouds threatened rain at any moment.
Okay, can I talk
We were
about...
dockside. Let me find my pirate voice. We were dockside in Manzanillo for 18 hours and 24 hours, holding position just outside
I regret giving
the
you that
Panama
fucking
Canal, waiting for our time in transit.
Okay, so Jefferson's Ocean is basically a novelty. It's very, very good, but they put the barrels on these fucking shark ships. And so the whole concept is, instead of sitting stagnant in a rick house and having to be turned every so often, the boat is constantly moving, so the juice in the barrel is constantly moving and swishing and swashing and washing and getting the whole thing aerated.
You'll be telling me we're drinking storm juice straight from Mother Ocean's teat herself.
No, not exactly. But that's the whole thing with Jefferson's Ocean. So it is, Jefferson's Ocean is very good, but it's a novelty, like the little fucking story that T-Bob just read. So they charge a shitload for Jefferson's Ocean. It's like a $90 bottle, which I would never pay, but that's why you come here, because you can have a pour of Jefferson's Ocean during Scone T for only $6.
I can smell the salt spray on the head.
Well, that's something that people say, is you can get the salinity of the salt water in there. I never get that. Jefferson's Ocean is very good. I think all of the Jefferson stuff is good, but this one I think you're paying for a novelty. Now, I'll tell you this. The Jefferson's Ocean Wheated is one of my favorite whiskeys ever. Like, I'd pay $150 for that. It's an awesome bottle. So anyway, so come out to Scone T. Okay, I have two things before we start talking about LSU and Florida.
Yeah, that was really good, by the way.
It is really good. Jefferson's Ocean it really is very good. But this would be perfect as a $50 bottle. As a $90 bottle, I'm like, fuck you. I'm not paying just because you swish and swash in the ocean. You know what I mean? Right, exactly. And now I got to listen to you tell pirate tales. Okay, number one.
We drink and we smoke and we talk about ball. Drink up, me hearty yo ho.
If your hype video had been better, LSU might have won.
God, Tennessee fans are loving clowning me for that shit.
Hey, you did a really good job on the hype video. I am curious, like last week we sat here and we talked about the Tennessee game and all that shit. And we spent 20 minutes reliving 2010. And like the oral history. And you didn't fucking tell us you're in the hype video.
No, I filmed it the night before. I forgot. It slipped my mind. I mean, I would have, if I had remembered it, I would have teased it. I wouldn't have said it straight up, but maybe it would have been like, be on the lookout for something tomorrow, but I kind of forgot about it. I don't know.
Well, your hype video sucked then. How about that?
Look,
no, it was actually perfect because whenever I saw it pop up, because it was during AFR when it dropped, so we played it live.
Yes,
I just played it cold. And I was like,
and then you had to be, and then I showed up.
No, but I think I saw your quote tweet, which was like, this is the greatest thing in my life, whatever. I was like, oh, they put T-Pop in the hype video.
Yeah, the hype video did. And I got to talk about chess.
Anyway, that was a good line, though.
That was Cody Worship.
Yeah, Cody does a great job writing. No, I know Cody does a great job writing those scripts.
It was interesting. We filmed it over like 2 hours, and I got a script like when I showed up, like a vague outline, and then we just kind of workshopped it from there. Shout out Gio. I got to remember Gio's full name. He's a young student director. He was excellent. Shout out Matt Turnquist, everybody. All right.
Yeah, it really was very good. And I said it on air. I was like, T-Bob's going to be perfect at this because he's so theatrical. I'm like, he's gonna do a voice.
I tried to do it like I was like an actor or like basically a wrestler.
You went like Southern attorney, like deep South lawyer.
Finding
movie.
the voice was the hardest part.
Yeah, you should have just talked like you talk.
No,
Can't fucking do that. But you did. But the problem is, you changed your voice midway during the thing.
No. So if you knew anything about how films are made, that's because we filmed about 1 million takes of it, and they took lines from each one that they liked. Like, I agree with you. Some of the lines that I made in were from my first attempts, which were more Southern lawyer, a bit more of a put-on voice. And then the other ones were when I was kind of finding a more subtle sort of voice to go with. But it was super fun there.
Got it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, now I also want to talk about, because last week we talked about the LSU and Tennessee series. I do want to talk about the LSU-Florida series. I know you said the 2010 win at Florida was your greatest memory. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
it's my favorite game. No, it's my favorite game.
It was the Terrence Tolliver touchdown from Jay Lee. It was the flip over the head. The ball lands perfectly on the line and bounces right up to Jasper.
And then Jasper
ran the first down.
Dude.
You got the edge.
Urban Meyer was sitting there doing incomplete.
He was doing this. He was doing first down this way.
First down. He was going like this and pointing Florida ball.
Didn't go that way.
Not so fast, Herb, you son of a bitch.
So tell me about playing in Florida.
The Swamp, to my memory, was the toughest place to play in the SEC, and it's probably for reasons you heard before, so I don't think I'm telling you anything terribly interesting here. I mean, architecturally, it is built straight up, so it has this very kind of menacing, towering appearance, and obviously from an audio standpoint, that helps to hold in all of that sound. So it is very loud. It is also the stadium in which the stands are closest to the bench. I mean, they are on top of you. They are probably about 10 to 15 feet behind you, so these Florida fans are constantly in your ear, chirping, calling you fat, just constantly fucking with you. Not that matters. I actually love that, right? I think it's all in good fun. But it does make it louder when they're, right on top of you, and it's built vertically. It's basically like a giant drum. Obviously, so I only played there at night. Both times I went there were at night. And so obviously then it was a very charged atmosphere, packed stadium, and they're like any other great SEC fan base. I mean, when they really care, it gets insane in there. I mean, the Swamp is the Swamp. You know what the Swamp is. The Swamp is routinely voted as probably the toughest place to play in the SEC by people. So, and it's because they have good football teams as well, and good players down there as well. So and also you got to understand, part of the reason why 2010 was so memorable was because 2008 we got absolutely embarrassed there. We lost like 55-24 or whatever, somewhere around that score. Brandon Spikes kicks it into to pick sixes and punts it into the stands. I've told the story a million times. I got knocked out on kick return with 5 minutes left in the game. I don't remember a thing till I woke up on a knee at the 50-yard line with the Florida team. I was on a knee with Urban Meyer and the Florida team. Listen to Meyer give a speech when I came to, and I kind of looked around. And I was like, what?
There's got to be video of that somewhere. Like an all-22 shot has to have that.
No, because this was post-game. But me getting knocked out is on video, and it's hilarious because it's Jeff Demps, and it's on kickoff, and I'm kickoff return.
You let a running back knock you out?
Well, so what it was is I'm kickoff return. So my job is when it's kicked, I have to run backwards, set the wedge, and go, right? It was a sky kick. On sky kicks, you turn around immediately. Right when I turned around, Demps was going full speed, and he got pushed in the back. And so it was like an extra, and his head, right when I turned around, caught me under the chin. And on the film, he hits me, and you can clearly see I'm out the second contact is made. But I'm so much bigger than him that he falls backwards, and then I fall on top of him. And I'm laying there out, and he's like limbs are doing this thing. He's like scrambling, like trying to get out from underneath me. And then I just kind of like stand up, and I kind of woozily like jog off the field. No idea what happened. No, it's a very funny video. Actually, we should see if we could find it. But no, I mean,
that's good.
Look, that's why Florida's intense. They're right on top of you. It's loud. They're aggressive. They're menacing. And I mean, to be clear, you got to understand at the same time, Matt, I don't know what common players feel towards Florida, but at the time it was deciding natties, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 07, 08.
So 6, 7, and 8, LSU and Florida flip-flop natties.
And
Florida
then in
1 and 6,
09,
LSU 7, Florida 08.
And so the reason why 10 mattered so much was also because we got our ass kicked in 08, and then in 09, we had just the worst offensive performance of all time.
It was a 13-3 game.
13-3 at home in Tiger Stadium. We even started a drive on the 1.5 and didn't score a touchdown. And it was the worst game that I ever played in my life. I was a redshirt sophomore center, worst grade I ever got coming out of a game.
That Florida team was badass. The 09 Florida team, they won the Natty in 08, and everybody came back in 9. Tebow came back, Spikes came back. Like, it was that whole unit decided they had no business coming back, but they all came back. And then, of course, Alabama throttled them in the SEC championship game, and Saban and Bama went on to win their first Natty under Nick. But 09 Florida was great. That was also the game where Tebow had been concussed 2 weeks prior against Kentucky. Yeah. And so they had the bye and then played LSU. And so there was a big question if Tebow was going to play.
So everybody was calling Tebow's cell phone number.
That was 07. Or did they get it twice?
Yeah, they got it twice. I'm pretty sure.
Well, the thing about the LSU-Florida game is, so I'm a little bit older than you.
But anyway, sorry, man. So those were very painful experiences. And then in 2010, to win in that manner in a walk-off was just like, you want to talk about ecstatic. I immediately, when the clock hit 0, the first thing I did, because a year before in Tiger Stadium, they stomped on the I before the game. And it pissed us all off, and then they still beat us. Immediately when that game ended, I sprinted out to midfield and just fucking jumped. This is how dumb and meat-headed all this shit is. The first thing I did was jump and just smash that fucking F. Just midfield, just full vertical, like, fuck you, bah.
You should have taken your cleat and taken big divots and shit.
Look, I walked off the field it's kind of crazy how much time has changed. Because I feel like nowadays that would have been caught on camera.
Yeah.
In 09, when we had the walk-off win against Georgia in Athens, I was walking around just flicking off the crowd with double birds. After the game, I was literally walking around just doing this.
That's such a bullshit call against
and they never,
AJ Green, too.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Go watch Randy Kern get fucked up by your boy on that touchdown.
Okay. He's a good linebacker.
Yeah, he was awesome in college. He was a little undersized in the NFL, but he was
number 35.
Yeah, he was a
great
fucking animal.
He was a tackling machine. Yeah,
nicest guy ever too.
So the thing about LSU and Florida, look. So I'm a little bit older than you, as I said. Look at. I'm gonna show you the series history. If you just start right there, that's 1988. So 88, 89, and then.
Oh, bro, you got to go to Windsor. Okay, yes, show me this.
Right, but my point is, so from 1988 until 2001.
So this was like close to them what Tennessee and Alabama are going through right now.
LSU, but the difference is LSU was just dog shit for much of it.
Yeah,
that was Archer and then Hallman.
Look, here it is.
Yeah, and it was just terrible. And they weren't even close games because Spurrier just skull-fucked everybody because he could. It's the whole thing first I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, then I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to remind you that I did it sort of thing.
The old ball coach.
He was that guy. So it's crazy that that was my Florida experience forever, was Steve Spurrier and then kicking the shit out of LSU. And then Ron Zook came, and my first time ever going to Gainesville was 2002. And LSU beat the dog shit out of Florida. It was 36. It was the final.
Here we go. I got it right here.
30.
See if you get it right. I got it. Don't look.
That was. I was going to say 36-6. It was 36-7.
Yeah.
It was 36-7.
Dude.
And Blaine Best scored a touchdown in that game.
Let's go.
They ran a fake.
I've seen that highlight.
He's holding, and they run a fucking fake, and he runs it 40 yards for a score. Dude, I almost got in a fight with a Florida student because I was a section over, and I looked at him. I was like, "You fuck!" And I just flipped. I was a really aggressive student. I was the most vulgar meathead kid in the student section ever. I would have been leading the chorus of STTDB if it existed back then. So times change, people mature, but. Dude, it was just it was euphoric.
Yes.
And then but then in 03 LSU went to
So
Natty,
from losing 12 times. Oh wait, no, sorry. There was one
97.
Yeah, 97.
97 was the upset win where they tore down the goalpost.
But then to smash them, that's crazy.
Yeah, so it was incredible. But that's where the Florida sort of mystique kind of eroded until obviously Urban came back and then the series came back. But it's been so competitive largely since. And one of the reasons people I think love the LSU-Florida rivalry is because it is the animosity is organic, which has been bred by the result on the field, which has happened, and then magnified by all the off-the-field shit with Hurricane Matthew and everything else that
When
transpired.
was this made a yearly game? Because I mean that's why this has grown in the way that it has, is just because you've been very good both the times, but you had to play them every year. It looks like maybe in the 90s.
No, it was in the late 80s.
Oh, yeah, it was. It looks like 80.
I think 85.
84, 83,
it's longer than that.
It's going back to the 70s.
They've played every year for a long time now.
It looks like since 1971.
So, but for the long history of LSU football, like it was a seldom played game.
Okay.
But it's been played every year since.
LSU's been hot in this game since 2010, though, bro. It's been a bad decade for Florida.
The mystique of the Gator Chomp and all the aura. Look at that.
What is this?
It's so. We'll talk about the beers in a second because they're doing a cool event here tomorrow night on Thursday,
which y'all need to go to.
We'll talk about.
Wow.
So anyway, I guess Florida doesn't feel as intimidating. They just aren't as intimidating as they once were. It just is a winnable game to go play in the Swamp. I mean, I remember Nick's first year in 2000. They went down to Gainesville and got absolutely annihilated. It was like 41-9. It was just it was a day.
2000?
It was a day game, and it was just
41-9.
41-9. I mean, it
and then 45-14 the next year against Nick in Tiger Stadium.
And the thing about that one was,
then it jumped all the way to 36-7. Wow.
So the 2001 game, when LSU started, not that everybody needs a fucking history lesson here, but LSU started SEC play that year 0-2. They lost to post 9/11. They lost to Tennessee and then got blown out by Florida. And then they got on a roll, and it was a really disappointing loss to Ole Miss, and then they finished strong. And actually, LSU kind of got lucky playing Tennessee again because that was a better matchup. Had they played Florida again, Florida probably would have rolled LSU in the SEC championship game again. Yep. That was a dominant Florida team. But anyway, all that to say, like, going to Gainesville it's hard. It's a tough place to go. I'm not that you need me to tell you this. I'm just saying generally, it's the same feeling I had when LSU played Auburn. Why I thought like a lot of people were picking LSU to roll Auburn. I said that's going to be a tough game because it's hard to go there and win. And I think the same thing about this game. It's just for this team, it's going to be very hard to go on the road and win. Night game, all the things that you talked about. I think it'll be a packed house. They're honoring Tom.
It's going to be
lit. It's going
to be electric, and it's going to be mean, and it's going to be aggressive. And you better be ready when Anthony Richardson does some shit and makes a big play, and that crowd fucking starts roaring. It can be intimidating, and you better be ready to handle it. Now, I think LSU is, because I think Jordan-Hare was actually a pretty great environment that they went into a couple of weeks ago. The only problem is I do think that Florida's a significantly better team than Auburn is, and Anthony Richardson's significantly better than Robbie Ashford is. So, but yeah, they better. I mean, because like, yeah, it is your sort of metal will be tested when a play pops off. And the top comes off that place. Can you fucking grit your teeth, stay settled in, and punch them back? What's crazy, Matt, is despite that Florida domination, the all-time series sits Florida 33, LSU 32.
Yeah.
So LSU, over the last 12 years, is 9-3. They have climbed back into this thing. And they will have a chance to tie it up on Saturday.
Since 2010, the year we referenced, LSU is 9-3 in this series since 2010. But they're close games is the crazy part. It's not like they're blowing them out. Like they're all like the three Florida, with 2011 being the exception.
Yeah,
the three Florida wins were 2012, which was the hammer and the nail game when Kevin Minter had 20 fucking tackles. Odell fumbled in midfield. Yeah. That's pretty. And by the way, like if LSU wins that game, they're probably playing for the national championship. I mean, your only losses to Bam. Your only losses that year were that in the Yeldon game.
Yeah.
12 and then 16, which was the game after Hurricane Matthew, and then 2018, Burrow's first year when they went there and he threw a couple of picks and lost during the day.
I forgot about that 2018 one.
In Gainesville. So.
That's when Dan Mullen kind of ran circles around you that day.
Yeah.
Who was the quarterback? Felipe Franks?
Yeah. It was Felipe,
running quarterback powers.
Felipe running the football that day.
3rd and 7
I know,
for first downs.
It was crazy. So anyway, we want to get into
I love this game. Fuck Florida.
It's earned.
I'm worried about this game.
LSU-Florida has earned the reputation on the field as a great rivalry because the games have lived up to the billing. They've largely been consequential, and then you've poured gasoline on the fire because of all the off-the-field stuff as well. So, yes, it's a very significant game that both teams want to win desperately, and it's one that, for a lot of reasons, a lot of LSU fans look at as their favorite rivalry game. All right, before we look at this game, though, Parish Tap Takeover is tomorrow. That's so depending on when you're watching or listening to this, but if you are live, so that's Thursday, the 13th, right here at Oliver Twist. There's actually going to be 2 beers on tap here that have never left the brewery.
Let's go.
One is Royal Earth, the other is MC Ghost. So those 2 are brewery-only beers that will be here at Oliver Twist on Thursday night. They're also tapping Vermillionaire, Cryo M, Turtle Rev, Greetings from Jamaica Beach, and many more. So
this is Turtle Rev.
So there's going to be like 14 taps of Parish beer here at Oliver Twist on Thursday. So tell a friend, man, if you're looking to get your weekend started early, Oliver Twist be a great spot on Thursday to come try that beer from Parish.
Yes, dude, and Parish does. I mean, we all know.
This is
Parish
a
does great beers. So this is the Turtle Rev.
How is it?
It says like old school chocolate candy. It's another thick boy. You want to sip?
Sure.
I mean, this is a dessert beer. I would love this beer in maybe not even a whole beer.
Really
like I would like this while board gaming with friends and shared amongst friends. Everybody get about half a glass. Like that would hit the spot right there. That's a thick boy.
Okay, so what do you think? Do you have a feeling? And by the way, with some of the questions, someone asked a good question.
They did make fun of Mike dying. I forgot about that.
Someone asked a good question.
Sorry. Von Bluesman says the fog ball, shoot throw, and long distance field game was so cool. We were a 20-point underdog. I mean, honestly, I've said it all week, and I firmly believe this, Matt. K. Dork's kick in that game is a top 5 LSU memory for me of all time, which is so crazy because it's the game that doesn't really mean anything in the end. A season in which you went 5-5, even though that was such a heroic finish to go 5-5, but just like the setting, the picture from the profile view where he's just covered in the clouds and his legs all the way back, like, oh man, one of the coolest games ever, dude.
There was a good question.
That was his treat run.
Oh, here it is. It was a super chat from Taylor Castagnier. He said, if you can go back for the season, switch quarterbacks with Florida, would you? Do you think Florida would have the same record with Jaden Daniels? So I think it's a really good question. I mean, obviously it's a total hypothetical. You can't do that. But, like, what would LSU look like with Anthony Richardson? What would Florida look like with Jaden Daniels? I tell you this, without Anthony Richardson, Florida does not beat Utah. That is, if you look at the way that game transpired, they needed Anthony Richardson to be. I mean, the Superman play around the goal line where he
it was
shed
awesome.
a dude.
Remember, we all thought he was going to end there.
Yeah.
Talking about how he's like a top 10 draft prospect already and everything, even though he's never started a game.
So Florida's record would absolutely be different. I don't know if LSU's would be. Do you? Because I think the wins would still be the wins, and the loss to Tennessee would still hold. Do you think LSU would have beaten Florida State in the opening week if they had Anthony Richardson? I think that would be the question. Is LSU lost its opener, Florida won it. If you switch quarterbacks, would you switch results of the game?
The only problem is Jaden did pop off in the fourth in that game, and really the enemy of you that game were maybe some special teams and some defensive woes more than anything.
Okay, so then
if you add Anthony Richardson there, I think the turnovers probably hurt you even more if you're still fumbling punts. So I'm trying to think if Anthony Richardson changes LSU's record.
So answer the other question, which is, if you could go back to the beginning of the season, switch, would you?
For the future, yes, because Jaden Daniels is a one-year rent. Like, we're just talking about this year, whatever. I don't really care.
But Richardson could be gone too.
Okay.
I mean,
I have a hard time.
I get it, but you also
in a
understand
world where Josh Allen exists and Daniel Jones, like Anthony Richardson, makes a lot of sense.
They're going to draft a dude that's 6'5" and 200 or whatever he is, that runs like he does and has the arm like he does. 6'4", 232, who would run a 4.5 40, and you go, Jesus Christ, who's this freak? You know what I mean?
So that's where then, unfortunately, I arrive at the very boring point of, no, I think it's kind of a wash. And I don't know. I mean, if you're telling me it's 1 year for each guy, like, this is not the year that I want Anthony Richardson as much. I would want him for next year if possible.
So, the reason I wanted to go back and ask the question, and thanks for the super chat, is because if your feeling is it's a wash, then how do you look at either quarterback having an advantage in this game on Saturday?
Because I think that Anthony Richardson has taken more chances, and while that has garnered more mistakes, it's probably raised more good game-winning plays as well.
But I would argue the 7 interceptions that Richardson has thrown in a game like this costs Florida the game. Because I don't think either team is good enough to separate. Look at the game. Look at Florida's scores this year. Florida beat Utah 29-26.
Yeah.
A game they very easily could have lost. They scored on a 4th down play, right, to win the game. Very easily could have lost, but a close game. They lost to Kentucky 26-16. Richardson had...
And his picks were the difference. His
picks were the difference in that ballgame.
100%.
They beat South Florida 31-28. They lost at Tennessee 38-33. Now, they were down in that game and rallied. You give them credit for rallying, absolutely. But undeniably, like, they were down big in that game.
I agree with that, by the way. I got shouted down when I was saying that during that week. But, like, a little bit over much was maybe made about the weakness of the Tennessee defense by the Florida comeback. Like, whatever. Go on.
They blew out Eastern Washington. I mean, LSU blew out Southern and blew out New Mexico. No worries. And then last week they beat Missouri at home 24-17. I mean, and they were trailing in that game.
Hey, but Missouri, Missouri. Look at Missouri's results though. They're like kind of sneaky. They're so close to being good this year. They are the new Nebraska.
I think Missouri's a dog shit team.
No, I agree with you, but you're not telling me that they're. If you think they're dog shit, look at their results and tell me they're not overperforming. You know what I'm saying?
They blew it against Auburn. They absolutely blew it against Auburn.
Yes. They blew it against Georgia.
They blew it against Georgia, where they had a red zone possession where if they get a touchdown, they win the game.
That's what I'm saying. They could have been 4-1 with a win over the number 1 team in the country, and then they only lost to Florida by 7.
But I also
LSU struggled against a shit Auburn team. Florida struggled against a shit Mizzou team. Whatever. I think that's a wash. Look at Anthony Richardson's game log, though, okay?
Well, I've looked at it.
That's what I'm saying. So 0 picks game 1 against Utah, but then 2-2, 1-1-1. So, and then the touchdowns have gone 0-0, 0, 2-2-1. So it has been a little bit of evening out a little bit.
With Richardson, you have the boom, you have the big play boom potential, but the consistency isn't there. With Jaden Daniels, you do not have necessarily the boom potential, but you have the very consistent, steady. If the game is close, he's not gonna kill you. He's not gonna make the play that gets you beat in a ball game, and he'll give you a chance to win it.
And Jaden has been good for the most part. He didn't get this opportunity last game, or I mean, I would even say he made his play, but Dre Jenkins dropped that maybe would be touchdown. Like, he has been pretty good when the pressure is highest at creating a difference-making play. It's just hard. The problem with the LSU offense right now is everything is so clunky. It lacks rhythm. It lacks identity. It lacks threat. And this is a shit Florida defense. They're bad. They're 12th in the conference in both points allowed and total yards given up.
And they're 13th in rush defense.
They're not good. That's what I'm saying. Like,
they have good linebackers. Ventrell Miller's good. Cox is good. Like, they have good linebackers, but everything else in this defense is pretty objectively bad.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you can't, and
didn't you say the same thing about Tennessee's pass defense?
Well, but I wasn't as I don't know. I picked Tennessee consistently. I hate being like, cause whatever. I've been so wrong on lots of legs. So I don't mean it like that. All I mean is, I think you can check the tape, and I don't think that I sounded like throughout the week that I thought that LSU would be able to have success on Tennessee's pass defense. I think my hope was that if you can't get it going against his pass defense, then maybe that's a bit of a red flag. And I also did try to maybe explain away some of that Anthony Richardson 450 yardage through a team that was up 17 points late in that game. So it's like, I don't know, man. I was hopeful that they could get it going against Tennessee, but what have they showed you this year to let you know they will? Like, I'm not hopeful they're going to get it going against Florida.
I agree.
Especially not after, like the only thing, think about it, when we talk about rays of optimism, the only thing that I really clung on to last week was the fact that Vegas had it at 3. Like, that surprised me. And I'm like, okay, if they have it at 3, then there's something maybe that we're missing here. And, you can't fucking fumble the kickoff.
Exactly. If LSU and Tennessee play 10 times, you get that result, 40-13, once, maybe twice.
It's probably one of the it's on the outlier.
It's an outlier. But it's the one that counts.
Yeah.
It's the one that counts, undeniably.
But the problem is, I think
what
do you win that game? 3 times out of 10?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But what it shows you is where we started. LSU's not a good enough team to make mistakes against anybody. But if you make mistakes against a good team, you're going to get your ass beat. And that's what happened. So Florida is not a good team. But if you go make mistakes in Gainesville, if you turn it over a couple times, you spot them 10 points, it's unlikely that you dig yourself out of that.
So if Florida's not a good team, like LSU's not a good team either, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think they're very comparable.
Yeah, I'm just
very
making sure. I'm trying to see where your head's at. Like I'm trying to understand what your definition of good team is.
Florida's 2.5, 3. They're at home. If this was a neutral site, it'd be a pick.
4-4 in the SEC, not a good team. Because that's kind of what I think these two teams are at. Like that would be good for them if they could go 4-4 in this conference this year.
The one matchup that I'll be interested in this game that I think will define the game for LSU is if they can run the ball. And I don't mean to be super cliche, but you were terrible at running the football or attempting to run the football last week, and you get Will Campbell back now, and I would assume. Well, let me ask, who starts at left guard for Dellinger? Is it Hill or is it Frazier? Because they're going to move Bradford back to right guard. So basically, keep everything else in place.
This is where me not rewatching the Tennessee game probably actually burns me a bit. I would think it would be Frazier. I know that Hill did not grade out very well.
Hill did not play well.
Looking at the Pro Football Focus grades. So, yeah, I think Frazier is your best option there.
Okay. So, and by the way, that would be the left side of the line that started the season for you, with Frazier at left guard and Campbell at left tackle when Dellinger was playing center. So, and when Dellinger went out, the hand injury, they put Frazier in at left guard, and then last week it was Hill. But LSU, whatever they found, especially in the second half against Auburn, running the football, they've got to be able to replicate that against Florida. If they do that,
I think they had it against Mississippi State as well. Like we said, we looked back at Mississippi State. They ended up running the ball pretty well by the end of that game.
If they can do that, then I think LSU will win this game. If LSU can establish the line of scrimmage, because what I think is going to happen is Anthony Richardson is going to turn the ball over a couple of times. I mean, even last year against LSU, he threw for 3 touchdowns, but he had 2 interceptions. LSU's been
very good at forcing turnovers this year.
So I think that's what I would say. If LSU can run the ball and make the offense more balanced, then LSU will win the game. But if LSU gets behind and can't run, and you have to throw it again, and it becomes a replica of last week, then the same shit's going to happen. Now you're going to get blown out because Florida's not as good as Tennessee, but you're on the road in a tough environment. And if you make those mistakes, you're going to lose.
Yeah, I think. Can LSU stop Florida running the ball in the same token, right?
Yes.
I think yes. But I'm saying, that is the other question. Florida's strength offensively is actually probably their offensive line.
Okay,
they have a good O-line,
no doubt. And Osiris Torrance, the transfer from ULL, is going to be an All-American.
He's a dog.
He's been really good.
Okay.
But listen, here's
never gave up a sack in 3 years at UL.
But here's what I'll say. I think LSU's there's the old adage, styles make fights. The reason LSU's defense did well against Mississippi State is because stylistically that matchup favored LSU.
I wouldn't have thought so entering the game, but I guess,
But LSU has linebackers because they put Baskerville in the game, and you saw Harold Perkins have a big game.
And what's crazy is they played Harold Perkins in space. That's the nickel Sam, something they didn't do against Tennessee, but, I don't know.
A little bit different.
It is different because Tennessee pushes you farther to the edges,
yes,
and Mississippi State is more compact. But I still subscribe to the opinion.
We're going to see
find a way to fucking get Harold Perkins on the field.
I don't disagree.
This is a very good Harold Perkins game this weekend. You should see Harold Perkins a ton.
This is a see-ball, hit-ball, run in space.
Yes.
And that suits Micah Baskerville. That suits Mike Jones, by the way. That suits Greg Penn. That suits Harold Perkins. We know Mekhi Wingo has been very good.
I'm a little worried about the depth of the D-line in a game like this. If Florida's going to sit there and lean on you.
But that goes back to the point about LSU's ability to run the football. If you can run the football and chew clock and move the chains and put together drives, then that minimizes LSU's lack of defensive line rotation. So I'm less concerned about that. I just think LSU is fast. B.J. Ojolari, Ali Gay. You have fast, athletic dudes that can run sideline to sideline, that can defend against that running game. So I think this is a better matchup. Styles make fights. This is a better matchup for LSU's defense. And Florida don't have shit at receiver. Like
nobody's going to match up well with Tennessee
last week
right
I was
now.
terrified about Jark Bernard-Converse trying to cover Brew McCoy or Colby Richardson trying to cover Jalen Hyatt. Like, those guys are better than your guys. When LSU had Stingley and Ricks, I like my guys. This week, I didn't like my guys. Against Florida,
even though
a
lot of that too is on the guys in some situations, but like a lot of that is Tennessee, man. They just put you in such fucking binds.
But let me ask you, if you had Stingley and Ricks,
yes, if you have two first-round picks,
but that's my
you're
point.
Feel better. But I mean, I'm saying, but those Tennessee wide receivers aren't first-round picks. They're good, but I don't think they're first-round picks.
Which is why but they're all better than Jark Bernard-Converse and Colby Richardson.
Yeah,
that's the point I'm making. Like, I liked my guys last year. I don't like my guys this year against good players, and that was the first time all year you've gone against really good receiving talent. I think that's fair to say.
I'm not worried this week. I do agree with you saying. Obviously, a Florida offense is a better matchup for the defense than that Tennessee grouping on multiple levels. There is a complete lack of weapons at Florida skill positions, receivers, you're right. I'm not worried about Florida having success on the edges, especially after not what we've seen out of like now. Jay Ward, I think, had an awful game last week, but whatever, right? We've seen him be dominant in a game that requires stopping the run on the edges. Like, I think LSU's great there. Again, I think the depth of the interior is going to be tested. You're going to have to get Mekhi Wingo, Jaquelin Roy, and Jacoby Guillory are going to have to step the fuck up, and they're going to have to play a lot of plays against a very good offensive line and a very fucking good guard, and they're going to have to just find a way to not get grinded down by the end of that game. And look, sorry, did you want to add something to that?
Nope. I was going to transition.
I agree with Creek Dweller here. He's like, we got to throw the ball deep. I mean, LSU right now is horrid in terms of explosive pass plays. Like, it's unbelievable. You are not threatening anyone over the top, and it's making you incredibly easy to defend. And the most damning part, like, is if we want to talk about where you're disappointed in the team this year, the most damning part about the coaching staff right now is a complete inability to take advantage of your most talented group.
Yeah.
Like, how do we judge coaches? Do you take the talent of a group and elevate it, or do you take the talent of a group and do you drag it down? And right now, when you look at the LSU wide receivers, that is, like, I think objectively the best personnel on your team, and objectively has arguably been the worst group on your team. Now, I say arguably because, like, maybe, there's probably a couple others you could argue. But the bottom line, the wide receivers have been invisible. You cannot have your best players being invisible. And I don't care what kind of offense you're going to run philosophically. I don't care who you chose to be the quarterback. The bottom line, you cannot have your best position be completely not taken advantage of. It's exactly what you saw during the Les Miles years, where you wasted NFL receiver after NFL receiver to your own detriment, and it capped you. So that, to me, is the biggest disappointment of the season thus far, and they have to get it fixed.
I agree. You got sacked 5 times and gave up 9 TFLs last week.
Sometimes he's holding on to that ball, dude. Sometimes he's holding on that ball. I'm not saying last week's the best example. Last week was bad. You were down Campbell and Dale.
It's hard to stretch the field whenever you're under
Okay, so if you want to go explosive, okay, sure, you're right. That's where that started. But I'm not even just talking about stretching the field. I'm talking about manufacturing ways to get the ball to your playmakers in space.
We've talked about that all year, and I agree with you completely. I agree with that completely. But you
don't have to block long to stretch the field.
The question was about stretching the field.
You do. You have to take more shots. You fucking have to. You are awful.
But how do you know? How do you know if there might be plays where they are calling the deep shot?
No, that is happening.
And he's fucking overwhelmed in 2 seconds.
But you chose the quarterback. But no.
I get it.
No. There's plenty of wide open balls there where the protection is good. You cannot put this all in protection. Last week was bad, but it's been the entire year, and you cannot put it all in protection. It's a combination of everything.
All right.
But again, Matt, this is what I'm getting at. The details don't matter. You chose the quarterback. You chose the offense. Your job as a coach is just to figure out a way to have success. Like, they will all forget more football than we will know, and that's fine. But I don't give a fuck. You can know all the football in the world. It does not matter if you cannot apply it on the field and make the team that you currently coach successful.
I've seen this head coach and this offensive coordinator both have offenses that look more dynamic, doing exactly what you're talking about. A big part of it's personnel. I get it. They have not maximized this group. I agree with you completely. But if we're looking long term, I have confidence. I'll say that. All right,
I'm still a Cult of Kelly believer. I've never wavered from that point.
We're short on time, so let's get to this week in the league, and we'll get to your question. So
everything I'm talking about is currently right now. I'm not talking about long term. Everything I'm talking about is right now as we see it.
If you're watching on YouTube, please smash the like button. Subscribe up to the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook, please like the 104.5 ESPN page. Share this post. We appreciate you for being there. And if you're listening on demand via podcast, please subscribe up to Scone T on your favorite podcast app. All right, let's run through the weekend in the league real quick, then we'll get to your questions. Auburn at Ole Miss.
Guys, sacks, by the way, sacks are not just offensive line. It is some, absolutely. Also, holding on to the ball is not ideal. And continue.
Okay, Auburn at Ole Miss. I thought last week might be Brian Harson's swan song because I thought they were open this week and then played Auburn. I flipped it, played Ole Miss. I flipped it, my bad. So I think Auburn loses at Ole Miss, then they fire Brian Harsin.
Oh, you're calling for a firing?
Yeah, they're going to fire him after they lose.
Heads will roll. Ole Miss is going to beat the fuck out of him. I don't think Ole Miss is going to have trouble moving the ball in Auburn.
Georgia's at home against Vanderbilt. That'll be a cakewalk. Let's save Alabama, Tennessee. Do you think the Arkin frauds go to BYU and win?
I'm running through BYU's schedule this far in my head right now.
Their big win was Baylor.
No, I know that. Who'd they lose to 28-20 on Saturday?
BYU lost to Notre Dame in Vegas. And their other loss was at Oregon.
BYU's normally pretty good in Vegas. Is KJ Jefferson playing? If KJ Jefferson's playing, yes. I will take Arkansas.
Okay.
Are you going BYU?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Arkansas.
Can't really blame you, but I think Arkansas is still good enough to win this game with
three straight losses. Now you got to go to Provo. That's a fragile team, man, and you better believe BYU is going to be sky high for that one. Let me see a line on that. That's it's Arkansas favored by 1.5. I'm gonna, dude. That feels a lot like the Baylor game, where BYU was sky high and they made plays late to win it. I think that is a close game, but I'll take BYU.
Real quick, by the way, explosive pass game also, y'all. It's not just air yards. That could be like a tunnel screen going for yards. LSU just needs to get more chunk yardage, which starts to getting the ball to playmakers. Continue.
Right, focus.
Yeah, I got to make these points up.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
you can go comment to them individually.
What do you want? Go.
Mississippi State at Kentucky. Will Levis says he's playing. Mark Stoops says not so sure yet.
I mean, I gotta stick with my take, right? I think Mississippi State is fucking good. I think they are better offensively than Kentucky is. It's at Kentucky.
Yes.
This is normally a game where Mike Leach will fuck up, but I'm gonna ride with Mississippi State here.
Take Kentucky at home. Kentucky bounces back. Will Levis plays. Kentucky bounces back. All right. Bama at Tennessee.
Taking Tennessee.
Straight up?
No, I mean, I'll take them with the points. But, yeah, I mean, yes. Like, if we were to have a competition to pick right now, yes, I would pick Tennessee straight up. I think this is a fine spot to take a shot in to Tennessee to beat a Bama team that has proved to be vulnerable. Like the only thing that makes me afraid of Bama this week mainly is that for once in his life, Nick Saban has easy motivation to sell his players. If that's the thing that I'm most concerned about, and it's not the actual matchups on the field, where I feel like Tennessee's very good at stopping the run, right? And that's what Bama's going to try to do to them. Look at what Quinn Ewers did in one quarter against Tennessee. What's Hendon Hooker going to do? I think it's in Knoxville. That's what pushes me over the top. Tennessee straight up.
Alabama. So, Alabama is. This went up. They were number one in scoring defense. They're sixth in the country in scoring defense. 12 points a game.
It's a bit, yeah, but what's the schedule again? Like, look what A&M put enough on them to win, and Texas put enough on them to win. That's all I care about. They've juiced those
Texas
numbers.
scored 19 points.
I know. It was enough to win, though. Texas shut their offense down with Bryce Young. Now, A&M, whatever, that's no Bryce Young. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't give a fuck how many points Bama has or has not given up. They're good defense, obviously. But look at that. Show me the offense that even sniffs Tennessee's asshole.
Do you know what skewed it?
Utah? What is it? Arkansas? Utah
0
State.
against Utah State.
Yeah.
7 against ULM.
Yeah.
3 against Vanderbilt.
That's what I'm saying. That's
why their scoring defense is what it is.
I'm not too worried about that.
Tennessee is going to win the football game.
Okay, so you're with me.
Tennessee is going to beat Alabama.
Let's fucking go. Rocky Bob this week, boys.
One of two things is going to happen. I agree. Tennessee's going to move the ball. They're going to score. They will. Josh Heupel's a good coach. Hendon Hooker's a good player. They've got receivers. They're good. Tennessee's offense is good. They will move the ball. They will score points. They're at home, all that shit. Alabama, with Jalen Milroe, will turn over the football.
Wait, so is Bryce Young isn't playing?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
With Milroe, they're going to turn over the football.
Yeah.
With Bryce Young.
And they'll confuse the fuck out of him. Like the Milroe, Bill O'Brien will engineer some shit up, but Tennessee, they'll come after Milroe.
Here's my prediction. One of two things is going to happen. Young won't play, and Milroe will, and he'll turn the ball over like he did against A&M, where they fumbled 4 fucking times and missed 2 field goals. Milroe will play, turn the ball over, and Tennessee will win. Or Bryce Young plays with a bum shoulder and shitty receivers, is not effective, and probably gets knocked out of the game. And I'm not wishing that on anybody, but Tennessee defensively does one thing. One thing. They pressure the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
They are a boom or bust defense.
Yeah, they don't mind giving up yardage.
They are going to blitz the fuck out of Bryce Young, and they will hit him, and they will hurt him. So and I don't wish that for him, because I think he's a phenomenal player with a great future. But Bryce Young, with that type of shoulder injury, after a week off, is not going to be ready to go. Dude, TJ Finley had the AC joint sprain. He's been out for a month, and he's still not ready to roll.
This sounds dumb. I fucked up my AC joint over the past few months, and it's debilitating.
It is.
I'm struggling to get through everyday life. Just lifting my kids, closing a door, fucking normal shit.
You got to go see my girl Crystal Poche.
Okay.
I'm going to give you her number. Restored Motion. Unpaid. Shout out. If you have pain, dude, I started today. No, I'm unpaid. I'm serious.
Okay.
Unpaid.
Hell yeah.
But dude, I lived in pain. Chronic pain.
Yeah.
I'm the dude that
I've heard you talk about that before.
I've done acupuncture. I've done fucking everything you can imagine.
Yeah.
All of it. Pain meds, muscle relaxers, PT, OT, all the shit you can imagine. But it's the only thing I've ever found that gives me relief from pain.
Wow.
She'll fucking fix your shoulder.
Okay,
Anyway,
I'm down there.
She'll fix your shoulder. Anyway, Crystal Poche, shout
Edward
out.
O says, hope Bama mops the floor with them. Fuck that, dude. I hope Tennessee fucks Alabama up.
I agree. I don't need Bama to win anymore. So, and by the way, Tennessee next year will take a gigantic step back without Hendon Hooker.
Also, I'm not worried about Tennessee. You're not going to have to run into Tennessee all the time. If Tennessee wants to be good. Go battle Georgia, battle Florida. Make it harder on them. I got no problem with Tennessee.
Tennessee, I agree. Tennessee, I think, will either Bama plays Milroe and they turn it over and lose, or they start Bryce Young, and I think Bryce Young will start but not finish the game, and when he leaves the game, the fucking avalanche comes.
See, I
think Tennessee wins. I think Tennessee wins the game.
I could definitely feel that. The only thing I still have is an irrational fear of Bryce Young.
He's great.
And because Tennessee, I know they do suck, but I don't know if Tennessee's secondary can't, if they can ever not suck, Tennessee's secondary would maybe be one of the groups that they wouldn't suck against. So I talked to Eric Ainge about this, and he did think that he's seen significant improvement.
Eric Ainge.
Yeah,
wow.
How about that, too?
What about that name?
He thinks that he has seen significant improvement in that Tennessee secondary, especially from something like Florida to LSU.
The former Tennessee quarterback thinks he's seen significant improvement in the Tennessee quarter. Anyway, all right. Let me go through Facebook questions real quick, then you do YouTube. We're going to go quick. Blake Morgan, what are the chances LSU we beat Florida and Ole Miss?
Both not very good. No.
I think you split them. I think you lose to Florida, beat Ole Miss.
Oh, wow. You lose to Florida, beat Ole Miss.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You lose on the road, win at home. T-Bob, were you ever part of it? Michael Johnson, were you ever part of a players-only meeting? What's the logic? What goes on?
Yeah, players-only meetings are fine, just where you got to kind of get on the same page. There was a players-only meeting before the 2007 SEC championship following the loss to Arkansas. So, yeah, man, don't – look, I feel you. It's a red flag because it comes at a bad time.
Happens all the time. Just don't fucking say it in every fucking interview that you had players-only meetings, because that's the red flag. When
you probably have like
players-only
one a year, but yeah, normally you're only talking about it at a bad time. But it can have dividends. It can have dividends.
Chance
sure.
Babin asked T-Bob, what are some of the best insults you heard from opposing fans?
I don't remember anything being particularly like creative or funny. I do remember when I tore my ACL at South Carolina, them just like yelling at me that I was a pussy, and I thought that was kind of funny. But no, I don't know. Yeah.
Joseph Fallsgraf, how many games have we established the line of scrimmage this year? Thus our record. I don't really think that was a question.
Against Power 5, yeah, that was not a question. I mean, against Power 5 teams, you won it against Mississippi State. You won it against Auburn, and you've lost the other two.
Shout out to Todd Marr, made the trip in last week for the Tennessee game from Los Angeles. Said we had a blast. Game wasn't so great, but great place to see a game.
Hell yeah.
Shout out, bro. All right, go ahead. YouTube questions.
All right, Scone T from Kobe. Does LSU O-line struggle more on the – are the O-line struggles more on the players or more on the coaches? Well, look, I don't think the O-line's actually been as bad as we think. Now they certainly got outclassed against FSU. They were really good against Mississippi State, like really, really good. It was kind of insane. And they were pretty damn good against Auburn. They were awful against Tennessee, but like – no, you were down your top two linemen. Like, you're not a deep group. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not a deep group. If you're going to tell me I'm going to take the top two guys, you're going to suck against anyone. So,
yes, you take away Campbell and Dellinger, that's going to be – your unit is already bad.
You're not that good.
And you take away arguably your two best guys, you're really bad.
So you could say it's more of the players, but it's like a depth issue, I guess. I don't love some of the things coaches do. Like I talk about Jaden holding on to the ball. I think sometimes Denbrock's route combinations kind of dictate him holding on to the ball. So it's a mixture, maybe more on the personnel just because you are thin there. Craig Duga, ask us, is Florida the armpit or the mullet of the USA? Probably the mullet. I kind of like Florida. I don't mean to call him the armpit. Bilbo Baggins, hashtag Ask Scone T. The River Center is hosting hockey games on December 8th, 15th, and in January. Will you attend?
No.
Probably not, if I'm being honest, dude.
So, but by the way, real quick, when the Kingfish were here was like when I was in high school, and that was a legit thing that people did. Like, we went to Kingfish games.
Yeah.
It was inexpensive. You could go. They did the fucking spotlight. You try to get on the spotlight and dance and shit. They play like.
Kingfish had a great logo too. Great logo.
Yeah, the Atchafalaya Cup. It was Kingfish. It was the Ice Skaters. It was the New Orleans Brass. It was a good time. I just don't have much interest now because I probably realize the level of hockey isn't very good, and I just don't really give a shit. I'd rather be at home. The only reason I would go. But
if you were still like a young lad with the fellas, it'd be a really good time to go to a hockey game.
I think I would very much welcome the Kingfish back because I think it would be a great entertainment option in our city. Would I personally go? Probably not. I mean, because the only way I'm actually going to a sporting event as a fan anymore is with like a super premium experience. And I know that sounds bougie as fuck, and I get it, but I'm just being honest with you. Like I've lived a life for 20 years where I fucking have parking passes. I'm on the field. I'm in suites. I'm in the press box. Like, I'm not going to buy an $8 ticket and sit in section 218 with Jimmy from Central to fucking have him spill beer on me and talk to me the whole game.
Dude, the upper deck,
no
the
shot.
600s of the Superdome remain the best place on the planet.
There's no fucking way I'm doing that with my life.
Cole and the gang, hashtag Ask T-Bob Scone. I keep hearing about wide receiver in our best position group, but they are either not getting open or they have the chance to make big plays. There are key drops. What gives? That is kind of fair. I mean, the drops are not good. And granted, a lot of the drops, you can say it's partially on the quarterback, but I don't give a fuck. If you are supposed to be the best position group, like, you have to make more of these catches than you are making. So I feel you on that, Cole. The not getting open, I'm a bit more unsure on because I do think there's a lot of passes being kind of passed up at times. But, yeah, maybe I am giving them too much credit. Maybe they're not actually that good. I think their eventual NFL careers will prove that to be different. Bitch, you just talked fair about the Kingfish. Don't give me the fucking hurry-up symbol. Bilbo Baggins, that's going to T. Indica or sativa? Sativa, definitely.
What the fuck is that?
Those are different strains of weed. Indica, couch. Makes it a little more chill and more like, I'm going to sleep there. And sativa is generally more of a daytime, like, active sort of high. Sativa, definitely for me. That's it for questions.
Nookie said, "Is Florida the penis?" I'm not gonna lie to you.
Kind of.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, because honestly, my thought was like, if you're looking at the nation, I'm like, they're
It's
either
not
they're,
the penis.
they're either a stream of shit coming out of the ass, or they are the really well endowed penis of the
That's
nation.
cool, man. Yeah, dude.
I mean, I was legit thinking the same thing when I was like, well,
Florida
if
feels
you
like
geographically, they're either shit streaming out of the ass, or if you turn the nation, then they are just a well endowed nation. They're the endowment of the nation.
Does that make us the balls? But
Yes,
either way,
absolutely we're the balls.
Okay,
100%.
Highest per capita professional athlete, strong sperm.
So
not
like,
to say anything.
so it's either like Florida is the well endowed nation, or they're the shit coming out of the ass, and we're just the very not well endowed part of the nation.
No. I think you had. I think the latter is correct, because I mean, when you talk
the latter
about,
would be that we're the not very well endowed.
Sorry,
But
I mean the former. I think the former is correct. I think that if you think about a phallus, a penis, becoming sentient and becoming a state, I think you would kind of think it would probably be like Florida. A little bit, a little reckless, a little wild, maybe not always using your head. Florida man is very famous on the internet for a very good reason. Well, you're not losing your big head, you're using a little head. That's the problem. My grandpa used to always tell me about that. That makes complete sense. It's a dick. Florida's the dick of the nation.
So basically, as a nation, we're kind of like a centaur.
Wow,
there's your head. There's your back. There's your leg.
That's a thick booty.
We're huge. We're huge-assed centaurs.
How do you know about centaurs, dude? Even though it gets weird because Hawaii's or Alaska's secret like this big and it's like on the back.
Yeah. Why would you think I would know about centaurs?
Because that's a purely mythological and fantastical.
I mean, I did go to fucking school. I had to read books that had fucking centaurs in them and shit.
What did you read? Chronicles of Narnia?
Yep.
Okay, there you go. Oh, yeah. What is Pan?
Huh?
What is Pan, who plays the flute?
I don't remember. It's been 30 years.
Goddamn.
25 years.
I don't remember either. What's the Goat Man? What are the Goat Man's called?
All right, it's been great. Thanks for watching Scone T and listening. We're at Oliver Twist. Y'all should come here.
I'm saying Vaughn.
Why don't you tell me the whole plot summary of Chronicles of Narnia? So I could
just read the Bible. That's all.
I can just turn off the mics whenever you do it.
It's just the Bible. As we've talked about in the past, Tolkien was not allegorical.